Hello, my name is Marcus Chavez. I'm with IFARA TV. Today we will be cablecasting segments of the press conferences that were held during the 22nd CROI, which is the annual conference on retroviruses and opportunistic infections, which took place in Seattle, Washington this year. This segment will be presented by Julie Overbaugh, which is with the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center in Seattle, Washington. Julie will be giving a basic overview of what will be taking place at the CROI this year.
So Scott mentioned that one of the highlights this year is HCV, and you'll hear more about that from Charlie Rice. And I think that's simply a reflection of the fact that there's been tremendous progress in treating HCV. On the basic science side, the meeting will also include a lot of studies of immune mechanisms, as is historical for this meeting. But typically in the past, a lot of the immune mechanism studies at CROI have been focused on adaptive immunity, which is the arm of the immune system that responds to a particular pathogen. I think what you're going to hear a lot more about this year is innate immunity, which is a more generalized response to infection. There'll be a talk by Mike Gale, a plenary talk. There's going to be a symposium on Thursday at 4 on this general topic, a session at Tuesday at 10, and also a discussion section. And relevant to this innate immunity, in one of the sessions relevant to cure research, there's a study on Tuesday presented in New Discoveries in HIV Pathogenesis that describes important findings related to innate factors that might be responsible for post-treatment control related to cure. In Tuesday's plenary talk, Steve Hughes from NCI is going to talk about where the reservoir is coming from for HIV, and one of the ideas that's emerged recently is that reservoir is actually a clonal expansion of cells. So we're not only battling cells that are staying stable, but we're also potentially battling an expansion of certain cells, even under cover of ARTs. Antibodies and their role in protection is going to be a theme also of some discussion, but the twist on this is that instead of thinking about how do we elicit antibodies for protection against HIV, we're going to hear a lot more about gene delivery. And one of the talks that will be presented on Tuesday in the symposium by Phil Johnson is the idea of using gene delivery to present antibodies rather than by eliciting them with antigen. He's one of the people who led this field in the early days. But you also hear a talk by Mike Farzan on Thursday afternoon in the 10 o'clock session describing a study in SIV-infected macaques where they used this approach to deliver an inhibitor of HIV entry, and that was actually a published study in Nature this week, and it's also received some press. And also the study prior to that in that session will talk about protective effects in babies that due to antibodies from the mother that might be of interest. So I'd say overall the basic science sessions at CROI will highlight new gene delivery approaches that are designed to bypass the need to elicit certain responses, which have been a tremendous challenge for HIV vaccines. We hear new science that continues to tease out adaptive immune mechanisms, but we're also going to hear more and more about approaches that could be used to elicit more from the innate side of the equation. So I think this will be a main focus of the basic science studies that you'll hear at CROI.